we taking our glasses off?
I think we're allowed to take our glasses off. I was told we're outside, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to take mine off.
That's happened.
That's okay.
You want to just go on the other side, Trevor?
Perfect timing, eh?
Okay.
When she steps in.
Yeah.
Dad, are you taking out? That's because I'm so short. I'm ready to go. Yeah, dobre. Hi.
Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us here today. My name is Dustin Maximchuk. I'm the General Manager of Mosaic's Esterhazy and Colonsay mines, and we're very proud to showcase our Colonsay mine today. Our employees have worked very hard over the past year to resume operations at this mine following stronger market conditions, and we're delighted that Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Finance Chrystia Freeland chose to spend some time today with us as she visits our province. Canada is the #1 producer of potash in the world, and that happens right here in Saskatchewan. And at Mosaic, our mission is to help the world grow the food that it needs, and it's a job that we take seriously. Annually we export fertilizer to 40 different countries throughout the world. Canadian fertilizer products are the most sustainable option in the world due to our focused approach that we take towards matters of environment and sustainability. So we see great potential for Canada's potash and mining industries in the years ahead, and we look forward to continuing to build upon Canada's world-leading social, environmental, safety performance along with the governments of Canada and Saskatchewan. So without further delay, we would like to invite Minister Freeland to the podium to offer a few remarks.
Okay. I'm not quite as tall as Dustin, so I need to do a little. Okay, well, I'm in Saskatchewan, so I'm going to start by saying "Дякую, Dustin," for that introduction. Je veux d'abord reconnaître que les terres sur lesquelles nous sommes réunis sont les territoires du traité numéro 6 et de la nation Métis. I am so glad to be here in Saskatchewan today, and I do want to start by pointing out that I'm here on Ukrainian Independence Day. Saskatchewan and the prairies and Ukraine have a long shared history. Ukrainian immigrants helped to settle this province more than a century ago. And I know that Ukrainian Canadian culture and traditions are a part of life for so many people here. In fact, just while walking around this amazing facility, people have talked to me about their babas, and a few people said "Dobry den" when I showed up. So that made me feel really at home. And I know that in recent months, hundreds of more Ukrainians have come here to Saskatchewan after being forced to flee their homes by Vladimir Putin's illegal invasion. I am really grateful to the people of Saskatchewan for welcoming them so warmly. And you know, when I got off the plane in Saskatoon last night, one of the first things I saw was a blue and yellow flag. And I think the people seeking refuge here will have taken great comfort from that. So thank you very much. Really, it means a lot. And I want to thank the incredible workers of Mosaic here at Colonsay for showing me around, for showing me the amazing work you do. I met so many great people, and I had such a sense of team spirit, a feeling of community of the people who work here, and a real sense of understanding that the work you do here has meaning. I felt all of you guys and gals who I'm seeing, I say guys in a gender neutral way, take such pride in what you do, and you should take pride in what you do. The first work I ever did was on our family farm, and I remember my grandfather saying to me when we came home from swathing one evening, you know, you never need to question what your purpose is when you're working on a farm. You're helping to feed people. And I know that everyone who works here has that same profound understanding of the meaning and the purpose of what they do. So thank you so much for what you do. I'm proud of you too, and I'm proud of the contribution you're making to Canada and the world. You know, Dustin said in his introduction that people here, people producing potash in Saskatchewan are feeding the world. That's not an exaggeration. Canada is the world's largest producer and exporter of potash, 32% of the world's total in 2020. Farmers around the world depend on our potash, on the potash you see right there. And that means that millions and millions of people depend on the work that is being done here right now to eat. At a time when Russia and Belarus are quite rightly being shut out of the global economy because of Vladimir Putin's barbaric invasion of Ukraine, the work being done here is more important than ever. You are feeding the world, and in doing that, the work you're doing here also is helping the very brave people of Ukraine by providing the world with an alternative to Russian and Belarusian exports. Canada, Saskatchewan, Colonsay, Mosaic, these are reliable leaders, world leaders in potash production, and the world can depend on us, and the world can also know that the potash they buy from Canada meets the very highest standards, the highest democratic standards, the highest environmental standards. And it's not just potash. Canada exported more than $82 billion worth of agricultural and food products last year. That means thousands and thousands and thousands of great, valuable jobs for Canadians. And it means millions of people around the world eat every day because of the work we are doing. And that's why our government is working hard to ensure that our farmers, our agricultural sector, here in Saskatchewan and across the country, can continue to grow, continue to create good jobs, can continue to feed Canadians and the world for generations to come. C'est pourquoi, par exemple, dans notre budget d'avril, nous avons annoncé la création du Fonds de croissance du Canada. Ce fonds contribuera à attirer des milliards de dollars de capitaux privés pour soutenir la croissance d'industries et du secteur traditionnel comme l'agriculture. C'est pourquoi nous nous engageons à investir 1,5 milliard de dollars pour aider les agriculteurs à adopter les pratiques et les technologies durables parce qu'ils savent qu'ils en auront besoin pour rester compétitifs dans une économie mondiale en évolution. Et cette économie mondiale en évolution peut signifier de très bonnes choses pour la Saskatchewan. Les minéraux critiques, par exemple, sont au cœur d'énormes industries mondiales comme les technologies propres, les soins de santé et l'informatique. We are so lucky that Canada is so rich in natural resources, that we have such an abundance of the critical minerals and metals that Canada and our allies need to produce everything from fertilizer to phones to electric vehicles. And as a province that is a global leader in potash and uranium production, and an emerging producer of more than 20 critical minerals, this means huge economic opportunities for Saskatchewan. That's why, in the spring budget, we set aside up to $3.8 billion to implement Canada's first critical minerals strategy. And this is a strategy that is going to help our economy grow and will create thousands and thousands of good paying middle class jobs like the ones I have heard so much about here today. Our plan includes doubling the mineral exploration tax credit to 30%, providing an excellent incentives for even more businesses to invest here in Saskatchewan. I know how important industries like mining and agriculture are to the economies of Western Canada. I know how much it means to have places like this one, businesses like this, that provide great jobs with a great community and a really good living for people. And a lot of people told me about that. They told me about their families and their lives and how the job they have here is the foundation for that. So I want to say to the great people I have met today, to the great people all across Saskatchewan, that our government is absolutely committed to jobs, to economic growth, and to being a partner for workers and businesses across Saskatchewan. So thank you very much, and I'm happy to answer your questions.
We'll take one question, one follow-up, and if you could please give your name and outlet before I have a question.
My name is Easton Ham. I'm with Global News. Minister Jeremy Harrison wants more autonomy over the immigration process into Saskatchewan. He says the province knows the skilled people it needs best and can do it faster than the current processing time. Is this something you're considering?
I am a big believer in the importance that immigration has for Canadian society, and it's a real driver of economic growth. I heard from people here today, actually, about labor shortages, and that is something I have heard at every single business that I have visited across Canada this summer. And I think as Canadians, we need to recognize how special we are as a country. Because everywhere I go, when people talk to me about skills shortages, they say, you know what? Please help us get more training for the people already here in Canada, and we're working on that. But people also say to me, let's have more immigrants. And that is not a message you would hear in very many other countries. So our government is very supportive of immigration, and we today are working hard with businesses, with unions, with provinces to get the people here that Canada needs. We're going to continue to do that.
And then a little bit more of a broad question. Saskatchewan's healthcare system is being crippled by staffing issues currently, and it's only expected to get worse when the fall comes. Is there any relief or a national plan coming to make sure healthcare is available?
You know, I want to start with something that I think is very important for us all to acknowledge, which is how hard everyone who works in healthcare has been working since COVID first hit. Nurses, doctors, people who keep our hospitals working, people who keep our clinics working, people who work in long-term care facilities. And I think, you know, there was a time during COVID when we were kind of clapping and putting rainbows on our windows and stuff and saying we support our healthcare workers. I think we need to do that this summer too, because it has been a long 2 years for our healthcare workers. They are worn out. So let me start by saying to the healthcare workers of Saskatchewan, thank you very, very much. I recognize how essential your work is. I also absolutely recognize that we in Canada need to be sure that every single Canadian, no matter where they live, has the right to great health care. And look, I'm in Saskatchewan. You are the guys who invented Medicare. You know how important and how valuable it is. So that is something our government is committed to. We recognize this is a provincial responsibility, and we are always very, very happy to be a partner with our healthcare workers and with provinces and territories to be sure Canadians get the great care they deserve.
Thank you. Next question, please.
Hi there, Kendall with CBC News, Kendall Latimer. We're here highlighting the importance of Saskatchewan potash and our great resources, but some Saskatchewan politicians and industry members believe that Ottawa is actually attacking industry with the move toward reducing fertilizer emissions. They say that this is an attack on producers, on industry, and even food security, and I'm wondering, what would you say to those criticisms?
So first of all, let me just be very clear on the importance of potash specifically to Canada and the world. It is a source of fantastic jobs. It is an essential input when it comes to growing the food that feeds the world. And today it has become geopolitically essential. And that's one of the reasons I'm here, is to remind Canadians of how lucky we are to be so richly endowed in this essential resource, and to say to everyone, I get that, and I am very committed to it. Now, when it comes to fertilizer and farming, let me say this. Canadian farmers are very, very smart. Canadian farmers work very closely with agronomists, and Canadian farmers are excellent business people. I know a lot of farmers, and I do not know a single farmer who uses more fertilizer than he or she absolutely needs to. Fertilizer is expensive. So I have a lot of confidence in the very good judgment of Canadian farmers in running their farms and in doing in the future what I know they're doing today, which is minimizing their use of fertilizer, ensuring that they're using enough to grow the food we need, but being very economical about it. It's something that I have seen firsthand. And I want to say something else about farmers and the environment. I grew up on a farm, and I don't know anyone who really understands Canada's land better than a farmer. A farmer walks through his fields every day. A farmer, picks up the soil to look at it, is constantly looking at the grain and the canola that is being grown there. And all the farmers I know are very careful, thoughtful stewards of their land and of their fields. And look, we're here in the prairies. This is where low-till and no-till farming practices, which are so effective when it comes to preserving the land, when it comes to fighting erosion, were pioneered. So I absolutely believe it is a good thing for the world and for Canada for us to reduce our emissions in all sectors of the economy. I know farmers already are as precise as they can be in the use of all expensive inputs, including fertilizer, and I have tremendous confidence they're going to continue to do that.
And when we're looking at concerns and criticisms and the ways we can move to better reduce emissions, are you chatting with folks on the ground in Saskatchewan, like as you are here today, working with industry leaders and members to head in that direction? Or who are you hearing from when we're making these decisions and moving in this new direction?
Well, kind of by nature of my life, I hear directly from a lot of prairie farmers, because they're the people I grew up with. And they feel very comfortable emailing me very often and telling me what the government should be doing and should not be doing. And they talk to my dad a lot also, and he is free with his opinions. And I think that's a really good thing. I really believe that people who do jobs have the best understanding of how to do that work. That's why in understanding Canada's potash production, I wanted to talk to the people who actually produce the potash. And I learned a lot today. I also learned, by the way, that the people here are very interested in geopolitics and very aware of the role that their work plays. When it comes to farmers, I absolutely believe it's important for our government to speak directly to farmers, to hear directly from them. And that's something that I've done in the past, and I'm going to be doing a lot of this week. And next week, actually.
Hi there. John Flatters, CTV News. Later today, you're going to be meeting with the Saskatoon Mayor, Charlie Clark. What's on the topic of discussion for that meeting?
Well, I'm going to let Charlie tell me how I can help him. I also really want to hear from him how Saskatoon is doing and how the economy here is doing. You know, the theme for me of my summer has been getting out of Ottawa, traveling across the country, talking directly to as many businesses, as many workers, as many entrepreneurs as I possibly can, to understand, you know, directly from people, get that fingertip feel of what's happening in the Canadian economy. And I bet you Charlie has a wish list for me. I'm the finance minister. I can't walk into any room without people asking me for stuff. The question I'm going to have for him is, how's Saskatoon doing? And what can I do to make Saskatoon even more, help make Saskatoon even more prosperous?
Subject, is there talk or discussion about funding for, or federal funding for the new stadium project or a downtown arena on that subject of kind of checking in with Saskatoon?
Did Charlie give you his wish list and ask you? So you know what, I'm gonna let him tell me what he needs and we'll talk about it. But it is important, you know, Saskatoon is important to me, Regina is important to me, Saskatchewan is important to me, and I really try as often as I can to talk to mayors, because I find mayors are very aware at that kind of local retail level of what's going on in their cities and by extension what's going on in the country.
Hi there, Libby Giesbeck, 650 CKOM. What do you have to say about the allegations of federal workers trespassing to take water samples here in Saskatchewan, and why are they taking those samples in the first place?
So I understand that issue has been raised with my colleague, Minister Guilbeault, and that he's looking into it, and once he's looked into it, will respond. So I'm going to leave that to him.
All right. And what were you hoping to accomplish with your visit here today specifically?
I think I've kind of said it already, but, you know, I would say two things. One, I really, you know, this is a challenging time in the global economy, and it's a challenging time in the Canadian economy. We have just been through 2 years of COVID. Vladimir Putin invaded Ukraine 6 months ago, and we have China's COVID zero policies. And I heard directly from people here that China's COVID zero policies are affecting the supply chains that Colonsay depends on. So what I really wanted at a high level is to talk to people and say, how are you guys doing? How is business? Do you have the workers you need? Do you want to hire more? What can I do to help you do that? And those are the questions that I've been asking across the country. And I want to talk to the people who work here and kind of hear from them. Is it a good job? Do you like it here? Is this a job that can support your family? So those are the questions that I've been asking. And, you know, I'll leave it to people here to give their answers, but I'm leaving here very inspired and upbeat. Specifically on potash, this is a strategic resource. It always has been a strategic resource because it is part of how we feed people, and nothing is more important than that. But with Russia's illegal invasion of Ukraine, potash has become even more critical. And I get asked at international meetings about Canada and our ability to supply some of the strategic resources that the world no longer wants to buy from Russia. I am proud to get asked that question because I am really proud that Canada can play a role in supporting democracy and in supporting our democratic allies. So to be able to answer that question, as precisely as possible, as strongly as possible. It's been great for me to see you guys actually producing potash, to understand what you do, to understand what your needs are, to understand the opportunities here to expand production even more. That's why I'm here.
Thank you, everyone. That concludes today's press conference.
Thanks a lot, everyone. Дякую.
Oh, sorry. Okay, we have. Sorry, I didn't.
Hi. Sorry, over here on the other end, Julia Peterson, Saskatoon Star Phoenix. I was wanting to ask...
A print person.
Yes.
We must not discriminate against the print reporters. That's what I used to be, so.
Yeah, well, we'll be loud and make noise if we're over here.
Okay, good.
But regarding the processing of applications for refugees from Afghanistan looking to come to Canada from Pakistan, where are we at on expediting that process as has been discussed and allowing for reunifications, which of course are very much needed?
That is a great question, and you know, it speaks to something we've discussed earlier today, which is something pretty magnificent about Canada, and that is our enthusiasm for welcoming refugees. And as a Canadian, I am proud of us for being that country. We have made a commitment as a government to welcome refugees from Afghanistan. These are people who are in real jeopardy, and it's something that we are committed to following through on. Canada can hold its head up high when it comes to the number of Afghan refugees already here, but you ask a good question. There are some real challenges in getting refugees from Afghanistan here, in getting them here quickly enough. And it is definitely something our government is focused on, and we're going to keep on working on.
And to clarify, what are those challenges, some of those barriers between where people are now and having them be here in Canada where they are hoping to find refuge?
I'm not sure we have 3 or 4 hours, so I'm not going to go into each one, but let me just say, I'll say 2 things. One, there are a lot of people who want to come to Canada, and Canada wants a lot of people to be here. During our 2 years of COVID, some real backlogs built up. And so there are pressures across our immigration system. It's very important for those to be addressed, to get the people here who want to be in Canada and who we want to welcome. And people are working on that, and I think are making real progress. But it is certainly true that there are backlogs in the immigration system, you know, just as there are backlogs in the supply chains that Colonsay depends on. There are then also some really specific challenges when it comes to Afghan refugees. People who are fleeing a war zone can be particularly challenging to help get through all of the necessary processes and checks in our immigration system. And I think Canadians understand that. I think Canadians understand that these are people in tough circumstances and tough situations, and that we need to be also thoughtful and careful and be sure we're doing the right thing in each specific case. Okay, thanks a lot. And thank you again, everyone who gave me such a wonderful, uplifting, inspiring tour. I really, really enjoyed it. Thank you very much. Okay. Bye. Yeah, we're done. Thank you. I think we're done. Yeah.